Happy Hanukkah, everyone. As you are looking in on our conversation today, you will notice that I'm talking with somebody who is in such an incredible position with Temple Emanuel. This is Louise Van Schaack. She runs our Temple Emanuel's Early Childhood Engagement Center. And I think many people know her for the work that she does with Temple Emanuel's preschool component, right? The early childhood program that we have that operates from Monday through Friday. But Louise's work and her connection to Temple Emanuel is so much broader than that. Look, without any further delay, Louise, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you? Happy Hanukkah.
And happy Hanukkah to you too. You're coming to us not from inside any building, and from what I take it, I've got a virtual background. That is real. You're really sitting outside right now.
This is our classroom. Yep, I'm outside in our
Wait, what
classroom.
do you mean by that? Our classroom. I mean, I'm used to classrooms being indoors and Temple Emmanuel, and we're not in the building these days. Tell us a little bit about what you mean.
Yeah, no, we are not indoors very much. We moved our preschool outdoors. We felt that it was the safest in the times of COVID and actually the healthiest and best way for children to learn. So we are outside, I would say 95% of our days. So far this year, there have been 3 days where the weather was not cooperative and we were not able to spend all day outside. But otherwise, our preschool classrooms, we have 3 classrooms with 5 students in each classroom and 1 teacher, and we have outdoor classrooms.
All right, so let's back up a second, right? Temple Emmanuel has had a preschool for a long, long time. I mean, I think people probably remember it by its acronym TEPS, Temple Emmanuel Preschool, but we haven't been calling it TEPS for a long time. And how long have you been director of this program? Because you used to teach in what was TEPS.
I did.
Then
I taught in TEPS for 2 years. Went on a 1 year hiatus and came back with a reinvented preschool, and we renamed it. It's the Early Childhood Engagement Center at Temple Emmanuel. This is my 10th year.
Well,
The 10th year
I'm
of our.
actually I'm representing today. I've got my tie-dye shirt on, and this is a tie-dye shirt for the Early Childhood Education Center. Wow. So how long ago was that again?
10 years ago that we were created or recreated, because it's not, we have, like you said, we've had a preschool for a long, long time. And when I was offered the position, I asked you if I could make some changes, and you were on board. And so we started with a name change and a philosophy change, and here we are 10 years later.
Right. So we talked about the name, the Early Childhood Educational Center. You know, many Reformed congregations call their preschool, or let's call it more broadly, right, when you focus out, an early childhood engagement center, because we might be working with families even before children are born. And even those that choose not to come to our pre-kindergarten program might be involved with other programming. This isn't only for the kids, but for their families, and then even after they're in the
Yeah,
program.
yeah, definitely. This is for families. We call it families with young children. We don't call it young families because some older parents have young children. And so, yeah, this is a way for folks in our community who have kids, we say about age 8 and under, to be part of Temple Emmanuel's greater community, whether they come to preschool and they join us for other events within the congregation, or whether they just join us for other events, or whether they just read about us and send emails questioning things. We're like a one-stop shop. And one of my favorite things to do is to meet people moving to Greensboro and helping them get established in the Jewish community.
Now, you know, most of us, when we think about pre-kindergarten or when we think about early education, we don't think about philosophy. I mean, that's a pretty big word. You know, we look to pre-kindergarten teachers as well as people who run pre-kindergartens or those types of programs as being the kids who are really good at getting down on the floor. And, you know, it's just very holy work, Louise, that you and the teachers in this program and those involved in the program do. But let's zoom out for a second, right? And let's talk about philosophy, educational philosophy. You know, you mentioned this before, is there an educational philosophy for our program? I know there is, but why don't you go ahead and tell us what it is?
Yes, there is. And once again, when I was given this opportunity, I feel like I was given a ball of Play-Doh and I was able to create. And I became familiar with a way, they don't actually like to call it a philosophy, but a way of educating that's called Reggio Emilia. And this stems from a region of Italy that's named the same, Reggio Emilia. And it was at the end of World War II, which makes so much sense why Judaism and Reggio go together, because the end of World War II meant a lot and great changes were made. And at the end of World War II, this city, Reggio Emilia in Italy, was given money from the government to rebuild. And there was a gentleman there, Loris Malaguzzi, and he believed that children were the future. And if we were to properly educate them and honor them and teach them to be individuals, teach them that they are heard, that hopefully there would not be another devastation similar to what happened in World War II. And so it's a very non-traditional, a very American non-traditional program. We think and believe the children are competent, they're capable. We think that they can do everything that they think that they can do. And then we support them and we give them the scaffolding to teach them how they can do those things. So, for example, in our classrooms, everything is accessible to children. We don't have a shelf where, oh, don't touch that, because that's not for you. Everything is for the children, and our preschool, everything is about the children, and it's beautiful thinking and feeling that way. And I was fortunate enough that when I studied at the University of Vermont, that one of their educators had been to Reggio Emilia in Italy and came back and started spreading the word. And little by little, it's growing across the United States, but it still isn't quite as large as other philosophies or other ways. But it's a beautiful, beautiful way of educating children. I'm very proud that we are a part of it.
I know that your classrooms are outside now, and we'll come to that in a moment. But I also know that in pre-COVID days, when I would come into the classrooms, there really wasn't any manufactured products. I'm maybe using the wrong word there. Everything seemed to be made out of natural materials. Can you talk about that for a moment? I mean, how does that impact the life of children, and what are you trying to create with that, Louise?
Yeah. So the classroom is considered part of the education process, and the environment is considered to be a teacher. And so we want to teach the children beautiful things. So we want them to come to school and be in a beautiful setting that they really feel safe in. A lot of Reggio Emilia classrooms feel like a home. So we have couches in our classrooms, and we have very often flowers in our classrooms. We have plants to take care of. Sometimes we have an animal to take care of. Pillows, very soft things. So one of the greatest things that I learned by visiting a Reggio Emilia school was turn off the overhead lights. Most of us do not have harsh fluorescent lighting in our homes. And when you turn off the lights and you use lamps and you create just a cozy feeling, children behave differently. And it's just like a beautiful feeling, and you want to be there. And it just sets the stage for so much to happen.
Some people might be listening and saying, "Oh, this sounds really great." We know Louise is Jewish, and there's the assumption is, and I know that there are other Jewish educators, but what's the Jewish component of this? I mean, outside of how are you weaving in different elements of the Jewish tradition, especially at a young age? How is that manifesting itself? Both, I would say, you could talk about any period of time, both before COVID and now during COVID.
Yeah, well, so many of the Jewish traditions and beliefs are so beautiful and really align themselves with this type of learning. For example, taking care of the earth is a huge part of Judaism and Reggio Emilia, repairing the world. So things that are just part of creating good human beings are how we incorporate Judaism. We celebrate Shabbat, and we also celebrate Havdalah. Now you might say, wait a minute, you're not at school on Saturday when the sun sets, and no, we're not. But we celebrate Havdalah on Monday mornings when we arrive. So we leave school on Friday and we tell the children it's time for Shabbat, and it's a special time where we relax and we're at home and we enjoy our families. And then we separate from that by returning to school on Monday morning, and we welcome, the start of the week and all new things coming with our Havdalah candle and our songs. And Judaism is all around our preschool.
Yeah, for folks who might watch what I do on Friday mornings, more generally speaking on Facebook, the origin of that is our early childhood program. and the work that Louise does. Rabbi Gutman had done this for many, many years, and he at some point said, "Well, it's now your time to do that." And just as COVID began, I think there's more than 25 episodes now of that on Facebook, and that really is just to supplement and complement the work that you're doing, that you've been doing. Now, when we're in person, we don't broadcast this, but now that we haven't been able to be in person, that's been taking place. And Louise, tell me this, because the school, let's say during the 2019-2020 year, had something like what, 30, maybe even 36 students, correct?
We actually, our enrollment reached an all-time high of 42 students, and our 40th, 41st, and 42nd students were due to arrive on the Monday that school was the first day that was closed. I think it was March 16th, because Friday was the 13th, 14th, yeah, March 16th, we were to get a family of triplets to join our program and to push us up into 40s. That was great. We were so excited. It felt very vibrant and alive. And then things changed.
Yeah, and I want people to know and hear that, because we're talking about one of the most successful programs, especially for pre-childhood, that any community, any congregation can really point to. And Louise is really built in that direction. And yet, if I heard you correctly, right now there are 3 pods of kids, 5 each. And so that, if I'm doing the math right, that's 15 students. That's done by necessity, correct? For health.
Absolutely. Yeah. When we thought about reopening, we definitely knew that families needed this, right? Children need to be together. Teachers need to be together, and we need to do it as safely as we could. So we spent a fair amount of time creating some very serious protocols, and we wanted families to buy in and to sign on that they were willing to be a part of this pod program, that they were willing to change maybe choices, right? That children wouldn't be going to grocery stores, let's say, or families would be really spending time just amongst themselves. And so we sent the protocols out to everybody who was registered in our school. And some people immediately said, yes, we want this. We're back on board and we're in. And although the governor at that point had said we could have 10 students per classroom, the initial people who answered were the 5. And then we decided, you know what, let's do it with 5. It was scary to think about trying it. It doesn't feel scary anymore. It feels very safe now. But we are vigilant, and it's going very well.
Can I ask you a sensitive question? Have you had to close along the way?
We have not had to close. We have had a student whose sibling had a student in their class who ended up being a presumptive positive. And so then that student who did not have any symptoms and tested negative stayed home for 10 days so that germ that wouldn't be brought here. And then we had a couple of families who chose to visit small groups of family for Thanksgiving. And then we asked them to take the week off after Thanksgiving, and they did. So people are taking this seriously. They know they want their children here. They know that maybe it takes some extra work from them. But no, we are all safe and sound and chugging along.
Louise, how are you holding up, and how are the other teachers doing these days?
Yeah, we're all good. We're all happy to be here. We miss larger groups. If you do have one child absent and you have 5 in a class and then you only have 4, it's pretty tiny. It's also an extraordinary opportunity to do things like, go for a longer walk and things that you might not feel as safe with a larger group. But yeah, there's vibrance, in numbers and diversity. And so we're hoping next year that things can return and we can grow back to a bigger size. I think also the teachers miss having a co-teacher with them. They're all individual. So, to bounce ideas off of. And, it's been interesting when people have to go to the bathroom. We have walkie-talkies and I'm on call all morning. So, but I think we're all doing very well. And I will tell you, we are so appreciative of the weather. We are so grateful for living in North Carolina. I don't think we ever realized before what a beautiful place it is. And we've been very lucky that almost every day is sunny. It's really incredible.
Yeah, I'm trying to put my head back into. I just saw a picture of myself from pre-kindergarten going back to it was 1970, 1971.
Yeah.
My sister shared this picture with me, and you just see in this room people, by the way, that I'm still in contact with now, 50 years later. But we're really small, and yet you can see the kernel of us growing up. But there was only one adult in the room with us, and kids nowadays must be looking around and saying, we're marveling at all of the beauty and the miracles of the world around us. And they must feel a tremendous amount of ownership. Why? Because there's not so many adults around for the good part of the
Yeah.
day. So it's amazing what you're doing. Can you take us all through what a typical day is like for a kid? What are they doing from the moment they get out of the car until the moment they go home later in the day?
Yeah. Okay, so before they can get out of their car, they get a visit from me at their car window, where I take their temperature and check in with the families and make sure everybody's health is approved to come to school. And they get out of their car. The best thing ever that we've ever purchased for this program was a portable sink. And we have a sink on wheels that we plug in. It has a pump and it has warm water. And it's out in the front of the building every morning. So the kids get their temperature taken. I check them in. They hop out of their car with a parent and they go and they wash their hands. Rabbi Gutman's grandson Noam spent some time visiting, and he taught us a great song that we now all sing when we wash our hands to make sure we spend enough time and get them clean. And then the kids go to their rooms, and they enter, instead of going through a doorway, they enter a gateway. And so each classroom has a separate gate entrance. So they go to their designated spot. The older kids usually have some kind of a task to attend to when they get there, in addition to like setting their lunch aside and what have you. But they have something, they might have to spell their name, or they might answer a question, but they'll do a little job to remind them that, okay, we're at school. And then they explore their outdoor classroom. They explore what the teachers have set out for them to provoke their thoughts. This week in particular, of course, we had lots of dreidels and candles and Hanukkah to check out and explore. Older kids are exploring alphabet. So it's funny. Everything you can do inside, just about, you can do outside. And so it's just been inside things that are moved outside, and set up on tables outside. The tables that we used inside, we've moved outside. And so there are manipulatives and games, Play-Doh, sensory tables, all different things. And so the kids come and go. They will work at a table and on an activity, and then they'll get up and they'll go over to the swing. They'll work on an activity, and then they'll play house. And the classes have meeting time, so they have their spots and their rituals that they attend to. There's snack and lunch here. Something that we did change this year that I miss so much. We used to have family snack, and parents would take the responsibility of 1 week at a time. They would provide really wonderful, healthy, beautiful snacks. It felt so nice to sit around with kids eating. They love hummus, carrots and hummus. And but this year we weren't sure about that. So everybody brings their own snacks. And so they have snack together, they have lunch together, and sing some songs. And 1 o'clock, the parents come back to their designated entrances, and the kids are off. And it's 4 hours, and most days it goes by so quickly.
Wow.
So the woods, we've used the woods a lot. We do get together for Shabbat and Havdalah there. The kids safely sit one class, in a section. And but it's fun. It's fun to spend time, kids just like playing with sticks.
I miss my little buddies so much. And if there's anything, if there's anything I'm looking forward to, is a time where it's safe enough for us all to be back together, to watch as the program will grow back to its former, strength in terms of numbers. Obviously, it's going to take, a significant change with respect to the virus. But until that time, Louise, we're so grateful. Let me do one other check-in, because in addition to being, running this program, you're a daughter, you're a mom, you're a spouse. I'm probably missing a variety of different things. You're a sister, and an aunt and a friend, and many more things. How's everybody doing? How's
Yeah,
everybody?
we are all doing really pretty well. I mean, I really feel like we're finding creative ways to pass the time. Um, yeah, including adopting a puppy who now is 80 pounds. He's only 9 months old. He's huge. Uh, but yeah, no, we're really good, and we feel grateful that we are healthy, and that's really what's important. And even in non-COVID times, your health is super important. So if we can all be healthy, then we can find ways to be happy, and we'll get through this. We're all strong.
Louise, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for sharing, the details of this program. I hope that people who are watching this will like it and will share it with others, especially those families in our area that are looking for a fantastic Jewish pre-kindergarten program,
Absolutely.
general pre-kindergarten program.
Absolutely.
If people want to be supportive of this program, there are ways to do so through Temple Emanuel, through donating on our website. Maybe that's a wonderful Hanukkah gift that people could give this year. Spreading a little bit of that, of that goodness. But Louise, thank you so much, and to everyone, Chag Sameach, and just many blessings.
Yeah, thanks.